EONAR, the usurper goddess. Pyro answers chat's questions about the World Soul Saga. So, looks like we get into some stuff here. Is EONAR the last Titan? We know EONAR's done some things that Aman'Thul didn't like. She's like a creator of... She does life shit, but life in and of itself, right, is not really controllable or balanced. It's something that's kind of as anti-Titan. EONAR has always been interesting. Let's see what Pyro has to say. Is she the last Titan? What is he going to say here? Let's find out.
ANR, final boss of Last Titan? I kind of want that. Dude, I want ANR. Here's what I really want, dude.
Burning, thanks for the bits,
ANR
man.
to suck out Sargeras' power and take his flame as her own.
ANR to suck off
leave him as a smoldering husk. And then I think Illidan, you know, whether what happens with Illidan or not, I would kind of like if he made it back.
There would have went hands down.
Sargeras like sent him off, but then ANR fucking literally stole all of Sargeras' power out of him, and like became like a. Look, what I'm trying to say, Chad.
This is kinky as shit. I mean, Sargeras is tied down to a chair right now. ANR is gonna go suck him off and take his power with a Glock 2070, like crazy power. Man, I guess she'll restore his life by taking his life. Yeah.
Fire and life can coexist within one body. We just saw that with the Emerald Dream. So as a being of spirit, life, and that type of energy, and Sargeras is very powerful.
She partnered with Rogue
reason,
Energy.
in my opinion, that claiming one's soul would be a massive source of power. I mean, he is radiant as a sun. They call him darkened, but he's brighter than any of them. And so, if you could claim a soul like that, that's a lot of power. And you should be afraid of anything that would have the ability to claim something like that. What I'm saying is usurper goddess, a goddess that would steal the power of other gods in order to expand her magical
interesting
domain
concept,
and thus become more powerful. Because why are the Titans doing this? Well, there is the possibility that it's envy-fueled rage from ANR and hatred, jealousy of the ability to create souls, and she may have betrayed her own in order to try to usurp the power of the mother of all of them. Basically, try to steal the power of creation. And if that's the case, well, that'd be fucking terrifying. But,
damn.
You know, that's yet to be, you know, it's not like a proven thing by any means.
Like I said, ANR and Aman'Thul have gone at it in the past. He hasn't liked. I mean, he ripped a freaking world tree out of the ground. You know, he doesn't like that kind of shit. So, while they are on the same team and they seem to be aligned, and you know their dislike for Sargeras and stuff, they've had conflicting ideas in the past. I wonder if she'd ever turn on him. What if she joins us? What if she's not the bad guy? What if she becomes, what if she joins us on our side, takes the side of life? That's another concept I've always thought of that could happen.
That is proven. But anyway, I don't think that Illidan can be contained. We'll see. I mean, Gul'dan believed Illidan was the perfect vessel for Sargeras. Well, he believed that because that's also what Sargeras wanted. It was like the direct orders of the Legion that's what he was to do.
True, yeah.
So that's what it's not even just what Gul'dan believed, that's what Sargeras believed. What about a Titan civil war and Sargeras becoming a martyr?
Fighting amongst the Titans?
Do you think we'll see Argus again by the end of the World Soul Saga?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see him again in like as in resurrected, but I think we will talk about Argus, what happened to him, realize it was a mistake to kill him. Maybe he's a sibling of Azeroth, you know, the death to the life balance kind of shit. We're going to realize that was a mistake. Maybe we'll like learn more about what happened to Argus, how he ended up in the state that he was and everything, and the story of Argus. But I don't think we'll bring him back in any meaningful way.
We saw an echo of Argus in the Shadowlands. I'd like clarification on if that really was the remainder of his soul or just an echo. I mean, it slammed into the Arbiter, causing it to malfunction.
Yeah.
And then we see the echo of it in Zereth Mortis later. But then the energy in the sword is also of question. Like, what is that? Is it actually Argus? Is it Argus's anima? Like, I would think that given the resultant appearance of Azerite as we know it, that it would be something more akin to a soul blend. And by that I mean, yes, something akin to Uther or Sylvanas' soul having been split and maybe being put back together. And
What about, couldn't it be like Arthas' soul in Charlemagne? Like, whatever was the remnants of it or whatever, like a twisted version of it kept around to power a weapon. That's the way I see it.
remind you, I'm pretty sure that the fragments of those souls were depicted as blue and gold, which is important, I think, when looking at Azerite. Why did Argus have spikes on his body? I think because he was imprisoned and tormented and tortured. And I think the reason why the spikes were there was to make him bleed. There's actually Hearthstone art of Argus, and he's actually standing in like a Titan facility. So it kind of looks like Ulduar. And he actually doesn't have the spikes in him at all. Yeah. And so it makes me think that perhaps he was, inflicted these wounds in order to bleed
Titans
the soul
are messed
of
up,
its
man.
essence. And I think that they have probably done something similar to Azeroth in the past. I think that the Titans have shown that they have an aptitude for experimentation with blood, and I think that Azeroth would be no exception. If they wanted to alchemically achieve anything beyond what they are capable of, I think stealing Azeroth's power by doing thus would grant exactly that. We were wielding within our hands basically the soul essence of Azeroth in the form of crystallized blood in Azerite. So when you think about that, it's like, okay, how does this show how blood links to the soul?
By the way, and didn't we gathered all that powerful blood, right? Azerite, all that shit. Gathered all of it into, and then we eventually put it into the sword. Isn't that what we did? Didn't we put it all into Sargeras' sword? Like, we gathered all that shit and then eventually put it into the sword. I wonder what the ramifications of that are going to be.
Would the value be perhaps of bleeding the soul of such as like the
what
creator?
Sword, yeah.
Well, if you're a vain, envious goddess and you want the power to create truly, I think that stealing it from Mother Creator would be a way to do that. And that's a very fucked up thing to do. But you know what? EONAR's character and her depictions, her weapon, her crown, her behaviors match a lot of really questionable goddesses from a lot of different mythologies, pantheons.
Right, we empowered the artifact weapons.
And so it doesn't look good for her.
we empowered the artifact weapons, but then we used all that power to disempower the sword of Sargeras, right? You remember that? That's why we can't use them anymore, right? They lost all their power. We did the whole, janky cinematic where we held up the artifact weapons and all that power. We used it to take away the shit that was leaking out of the sword of Sargeras. So what was the... I feel like there's going to be a ramification of that at some point. Maybe in the War Within. I mean, we're going to deal with the sword. So maybe there we'll find out.
Not that Sargeras isn't as well, EONAR is just typically more aligned with goddesses that represent usurping, taking positions that don't belong to them, like Kali.
Isn't EONAR like kind of aligned with like Elune and all that other shit too? And these are goddesses that are not necessarily into the Titan ideologies. These are life goddesses. These are life gods. Like, these are gods that are into nature, life, unrestricted growth, like that kind of shit, which is very anti-Amenthul's ideas of control and everything else.
Yeah, Menethil. Or like the leader of the Pantheon. Like, here's the deal. Look, it's a trope we've all fucking seen in fantasy where the king has that advisor, whether it's a male or female.
Elune is definitely a first
one,
one,
in
even
his
if that's
ear the machinations of their own and influencing what he's doing. It's such a common trope that it makes you, I think the obvious answer is to look at Amenthul, especially in the way that he's depicted as being very angry and stuff.
He's the ultimate dick.
Oh, it's him. It's obviously him. But that might not necessarily be the case. Like, behind him is...
I think what we could definitely say, yeah, you might be right. There might be something beyond Amenthul, but what we can definitely say is Amenthul is a grade A, extra large dick. He's a piece of shit. He would be willing to do anything to us to keep the order in the galaxy, the way he believes it should be. He's a bad guy. He is a bad guy. His vision for the world and everything else, he would flick his fingers and turn us into Thanos dust if he could, if it meant keeping things in order. So he's definitely not good at all. And we're going to deal with him at some point in the World Soul Saga, I'm sure of it.
advisor, and I think that the advisor probably used to be Sargeras and is now EONAR. So another example of her potentially taking a position that didn't really belong to her. And with
he gave
that,
the Primus domination magic. He gave the Primus the ability to control time, and the Primus in return gave him domination magic. That's how that exchange went. That's why the Primus is the ultimate battle planner. Like, he controls the military because he can look into the future, see what the outcome is based on what strategies he used for a battle, and then select the correct outcome. And he received that power from Aman'Thul. And in return for that, he gave Aman'Thul domination magic. Which, of course the Titans love. I mean, that's the ultimate control, right? Just dominate somebody.
To claim the mantle of his power as well. So there's a lot to unpack there.
It was a nice exchange.
To try to digest, but I think that as more pieces fall into place, as we learn more about the mechanisms of this prison, that it will become clearer and
what's up, baby J?
Hopefully be really fun and told well, because there's an opportunity here to I mean, you could do some amazing stuff.
Yeah, there's some good story potential here.
Do you have any speculation about any mortals that can have some influence on the Pantheon when they return? Grown up Anduin, Velen? I don't know if I'd consider Velen a mortal, truly, as the timeless one. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Those common characters, common thread characters.
Yeah.
I think probably very little. I think that in the eyes of the gods, most mortal lives are probably inconsequential.
Yeah, I agree.
There are probably a few with predestined fates, like Illidan, maybe even Malfurion, Ashara, are three big ones that come to mind. All of them had golden eyes. I think it's said at one point that Malfurions are amber, but in the Legion cutscene when it shows the two of them, they're both gold, and so I don't really understand. They say it like, oh, a child born with golden eyes. I gotta watch the whole thing again, because it's actually... golden eye thing is intriguing, but Ashara had it as well. So I kind of think she honestly had like a predestined fate as well.
But it's interesting, though, because now High Elf Paladins, the High Elf, like an option for them is the golden eyes. Like, you can totally put that on them. So it's... I wonder if it still holds the meaning it once did, but yeah, golden eyes definitely was... Eye color in general has always been very important in WoW, to talk about like sources of power and stuff like that. So I'm sure that the story of Illidan still holds true, even though, now it's a customization you can do on a High Elf or a Blood Elf.
What the fuck was that destiny if it was allowed to unfold without the influence of the Legion through her advisor?
The Primus is the bad guy, yes, I agree.
Xavius. So... let's not forget the Mogu were manipulating anima within reality. Well, there has been... I do recall reading one of the lore interviews where someone questioned that, are they the same thing? And they clarified anyway that they're allegedly not. Oh. But... and maybe they're not. Maybe what we saw is a mere replication. Maybe that's the point that they're trying to make. Is that the Titans, what they were crafting, or what the Mogu perhaps learned to craft through their, being descendants of Titans and their constructs. Maybe what they believe anima and vita to craft life is maybe that's not fully correct, but I think that they have clarified that they are separate things.
The Mogu Empire and everything about him is very interesting. The Thunder King, probably one of the most powerful beings to ever exist in World of Warcraft. I wonder if we're going to revisit. We have that whole pandemonium, time-running pandemonium thing coming up in patch 10.2.7. I wonder if we're going to revisit the Mogu Empire at all. I mean, they were very influential, obviously, in Pandaria, and they definitely dabbled in some Titan-esque shit. I guess we'll find out.
When is Odin going to do something?
Yeah, Odin's a bitch.
Probably in the last Titan. It could be as soon as the War Within.
Oh, yeah.
But Viranoth just froze him. I don't know how long he's going to be frozen for. But he might be kind of in the freezer until the last Titan.
I mean, he's definitely on the side of Aman'Thul and shit. Like, Odin's one of those guys that you call the tip of the spear. You guys know, like, there are people like that in the corporate world and everything. There are those, like, managers and bosses that'll kind of push back against whatever their leader suggests if they don't think it's right for their team. And then there's other guys that are known as the tip of the spear. And by what's meant by that is they will take the orders and execute, no matter what. No matter what they personally believe, no matter what they think is right or wrong, no matter whether they think it's the correct decision or not, they are the tip of the spear and they will execute the plan. That's what Odin is. He does not question anything the Titans tell him. He basically got his position and his power because he was such a good executor of plans. Yeah, he's just the tip. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so Odin is definitely going to be on Amanthul's side. We're gonna have to deal with him at some point.
The golden eye thing is actually why I attribute Illidan to being a similar take to Kratos. And the God of War franchise is partial inspiration. I don't think
Interesting.
that's that much of a stretch.
Yeah, they definitely take.
Wouldn't it be
Greek-
wild though if the
Greek
last Titan was
mythology.
not anything we expect but something totally new? That would be wildly disappointing, honestly. Considering that, for the last 15, 20 years we've been fighting for Azeroth, and there could be a big twist in that way, but I feel like that's very risky to do. I think you might just want to do the thing that the clues kind of seem to be pointing towards,
Sure.
and you should just do that.
Do
I'm
the
not sure
thing.
if you have answered this before. Do you think Illidan will come back in the World Soul Saga?
Definitely.
Yes.
100%.
I think he will probably come back just before or with the Titans, if they don't get rid of him somehow.
Or try to, and then he
I think
comes
they
to
would
war us or
probably rather
something.
reuse him as a tool. The Titans don't really seem to get rid of anything, So I don't really foresee them just extinguishing or killing Sargeras and or Illidan. They would repurpose them for something. They would use them. That's how the Titans seem to work.
I think that's right.
And so that's kind of what I fear the most. What if they send him down first but ordered? I don't know what I'm afraid of. It is a possibility that I consider
Damn.
often, and it is terrifying.
Damn, imagine a completely ordered Illidan. An Illidan completely under the control of the Titans coming down. I mean, Illidan's powerful. He's got the power of the Fel running through his veins, and then you add on top of that, empowered by the Titans, he would be a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure. But I think Illidan's smarter than that. I think he knows, or he's beginning to know, at least probably with his conversations that he could be having with Sargeras, that the Titans are kind of scuffed. There's something up, and he's got good instincts, so he probably knows something ain't right.
It's not what I want to happen, but it may happen.
They
The only
took
real
Arthas
Titans
out. Why
were
not
Argus and
Illidan? Yeah.
Azeroth. The Pantheon are powered up Constellars, and since Argus is dead,
They did take Arthas out, yeah, why not Illidan? But I think Illidan, when it comes to these powers, is smarter than Arthas was. You gotta remember, too, when Arthas and Illidan, met and they had their whole they had their whole fight, Illidan warned him. He told him, you dabble in powers you do not understand. Like, Illidan is well-versed. He doesn't take things on without first completely understanding it, studying it, knowing it. Like, when he took on the Fel, when he ate the skull of Gul'dan, all that shit, like, he knew exactly what he was getting into, and he believed that he could withstand it, and he did. He was right. So, I mean, Illidan he was one of the first guys to kind of show us that the light is not all good. At least the light that we currently know, the Naru and all that. Like, he questions everything. He's very smart. So, as much as I love Arthas, he was not as smart as Illidan when it comes to forces of the world, of how things work and all that. Illidan's well versed, so I don't think he'll get duped by the Titans.
Dej Azeroth is the last Titan.
He's very skeptical of everything.
It could be. Maybe like beings of order that stem from Zereth Ordis.
He took risks, yes, but
That's
calculated
real.
risks.
I kind of like to think that the Titans are bigger, more powerful. And I don't know. We'll see. I still like them just being her children, and they still have like godlike powers, but they're not on the same level. I don't know if the wordplay on Last Titan has to be as much of a thing as people make it out to be. It very well could be. I'm not going to deny that.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, could
I'm not
not
sure if it's... I don't know.
be. Arthas was dominated for most of his life, yeah.
Do you think the Keeper of Ulduar or
But
is evil?
before Arthas was dominated, he was played. He got played. He did. By Mal'Ganis showing up and I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. The using his rage, they knew what his rage could do, where it could lead him, and they used it to get him to put the helm of domination on, grab Frostmourne, do all that shit to allow for the domination to occur. Then it was a foregone conclusion. He was a goner at that point.
Evil as Odin himself.
Send off was a wisp, I know.
Odin and Loken were particularly fucked up. Like, Loken was really bad too. How he's, at least is how it's depicted in Chronicle. Did you guys know, after the Titans died, their souls flew back to Azeroth and slammed into the Keepers? Did you guys know that? That's what Chronicle says. And then remember in Miss Pandaria how Rathian eats the heart of Lei Shen?
Yes. Goes
and
on a
gets the
fucking
vision
drug
from
trip.
the Titans and it says, "We have fallen. We must rebuild the final Titan. Do not forget." And then Rathian's like, "They all fucking forgot. That's hilarious, bro. They all forgot." Well, Chronicle says that when they died, their souls flew back to the Keepers on Azeroth.
Very true. Very true, Fun Viking. Yes, Illidan is like 10,000 years old. Yes, knowledge gained through time, for sure. Yeah. Siegfried Blackrook Hold. He absorbed all his magic at a risk to stop the demons. It wasn't calculated at all. They even said it in the book. Yeah, it wasn't calculated in that he was taking a massive risk, but he seemingly understood the magic. Right? I think part of Illidan's ability to control the Fel and not fall into, complete insanity like most people who take on the Fel would, or rage like the orcs did back in the past when they drank the blood and everything like that, is his ability to, he understood, okay, this is what's going to happen to me if I take this on. I'm going to have to do this and that to control it. That I still say that he did not do it, or he did not pursue these powers without any knowledge of what could happen to him or the risks of doing so. Did he know the risks were high? Yes, but I still think he understood that. Whereas Arthas, I think, didn't. He was just in pursuit of power. He didn't think about the risks.
Resided in them for a time.
He killed his Magi team 40 plus night elves.
Slowly fading.
A worthy cost, yeah. I think he would see that as a cost worth taking.
Is the way that it's kind of described.
Yeah, we did see it at Blackrook Hold. We saw it take place.
Their souls may have returned to their keepers, fizzled out and died. And then
certainly to Illidan, 40 night elves is worth it when he saw the Legion coming. You got to remember that.
If they're anything like other beings tied to realms, it says in Chronicle that they all woke up from their own worlds.
40 was part of his calculation.
We see in Antorus, the Burning Throne, a boss called EONAR, the Soul Hunter, who was tasked by Sargeras to hunt down the souls of the Pantheon. The only one he couldn't find was EONAR. Go figure. So I wonder if literally after their souls faded and fucking died inside of their keepers, if that's what happened, if they returned to their realms.
I think
that's
so.
where EONAR hunted them down and found them. Claiming their souls, maybe with Legion forces, and bringing them back.
Yeah.
If you go into Karazhan, and even into Ulduar, there are 7 or 8 planets. There is enough to represent every Titan of the Titan Pantheon. And I think that the colors that they give you as hints for the worlds and how they look are big, big indications of what those worlds represent.
Interesting.
If they really do represent Titan planets, then that very well could be what they are. And we've never been, potentially, to maybe any of them. Well, besides Argus, Azeroth, which both sound as though they were built by the Titans, is what it sounds like. But it sounds like the world was here before. That's what they claim. The world was there before, the old gods were there, and all the primal stuff, and all this.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Interesting to think about. Maybe that was the case. Maybe if Argus and Azeroth went to sleep, and worlds formed around them, maybe that was a naturally occurring thing. They all went to sleep.
Maybe.
Then when their children woke up, the Titans, instead of doing what they're supposed to do, they sought out their parents, ordered their brothers and sisters, Aman'Thul did. Sounds like at this point, Aman'Thul, maybe Norgannon as well. Ordered them, did all this stuff to them, and is now basically, sounds like stalling the cycle of the universe.
The awakening, yeah, or whatever.
So that's...
Yeah, Arthas was blinded by rage, became obsessed with Mal'Ganis. Maybe if Jaina and Uther listened to him, that would... Well, yeah, certainly. I think if Jaina and Uther played a role in what happened, they could have dealt with the situation differently. That's for sure. Maybe they would have been able to change it.
Kind of where we're at.
20-minute video and nothing has been said. Get the hell out of here, Kate.
And where we're at. Not a good look. So, the next part of the Titan saga, if it continues after this, if they use the same plot threads, do like a rebirth or reawakening scenario type thing, there might be a plot where we are going to the different worlds of the Titans and undoing the mechanisms that, if Azeroth doesn't undo them herself, which she very well potentially could, undoing the mechanisms that cause for them to, go on this course in the first place. But also I think that there's always been like that underlying, it's not even that underlying, idea of the cycle. And all this stuff that's occurring may have all occurred before. I just think that the threat is that the Titans could potentially always be overbearingly orderly. Like, that could always be the fate
I think
as
so.
the cycle turns.
It's part of what they're made of.
What I fear is that they have somehow become
arcane. That's what they're made of. It's as a force. It is a force of order, basically. Like I said before, an arcane mage, when they're shooting fire at you or ice, they are not controlling. They are not actually using the fire or the ice. They are, in fact, using arcane to control the fire or the ice and then send it in the direction or whatever that they want to. In general, arcane, it's opposite of fel, disorder and order, that kind of shit. It is a force of order, and that's what the Titans are made of, so it makes sense that they just want to bring order to everything.
Like, unbalanced orderly at this point. And if they tip the scales to the point where Azeroth is in
too much
prison
order,
and can never wake up ever again, then that would be terrible, and that would really, I think, have a pretty big detrimental effect on the universe. Maybe in the form of, like, giant old gods and crazy shit like that existing.
Interesting.
But anyway, like I said, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot to unpack, and we have unpacked the unpackedness. Yep, I definitely think that we're going to see Illidan again, Sargeras. All that shit's going to happen. Whether what we started with EONAR sucking off Sargeras, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to wait and see. EONAR is going to play a role going forward. Aman'Thul, Odin, like all the people we talked about, for sure are showing up in the World Soul Saga. Which side they're going to be on, how we're going to deal with them, those are all things we're going to find out.